Iran. What ancient prophecy still pulses through this land once known as Persia? In Scripture, Iran is both liberator and enigma. Under King Cyrus, it shattered chains and fulfilled divine plans. Yet, woven into the fabric of prophecy are whispers of a darker destiny, one that resurfaces at the end of days. How can a single nation embody both redemption and warning? Could this paradox be more than history? Could it be unfolding right before our eyes? What if you've never seen Iran like this before? Stay with us. The truth behind Persia's prophetic role might shake everything you thought you knew. In the vast tapestry of biblical prophecy, Iran, ancient Persia, emerges as a sacred enigma. This is a land where divine light and ominous shadow intertwine. Under King Cyrus, Persia was a vessel of liberation, a chosen instrument in the hands of God. Yet Scripture also whispers of its role in darker times to come, echoes of judgment, resistance, and apocalyptic tension. How can one nation carry such a paradox within God's grand design? What spiritual truth lies behind this dual calling? As we gently unravel this mystery, we are invited to see prophecy not as static prediction, but as a living thread, one that continues to weave through nations, hearts, and moments in history. Let us walk this path together, where past and present converge, and let the truth, once hidden in plain sight, stir something eternal within us. To understand Iran's prophetic destiny, we must return to the ancient echoes of Noah's lineage, where the roots of Persia quietly took hold. Through the sacred pages of Daniel, Esther, and Ezra, Persia rises not merely as an empire, but as a divine agent woven into the fate of Israel. In the book of Daniel, it ascends as a mighty power that topples Babylon. In Ezra, its king, Cyrus, is stirred by God to issue a decree of liberation, sending the exiled Jews back to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. This act alone cements Persia as a vessel of mercy, a nation used by God to fulfill his covenant promises. But the story does not end in glory. Scripture also hints at a future where Persia, now modern-day Iran, reappears, not as a deliverer, but as a key player in a coming storm. Prophets speak of alliances and conflicts, of spiritual battles on the world stage where Iran's role takes on a darker, more sobering hue. To grasp this paradox, we must enter the world of ancient Persia, a civilization of wisdom and majesty, yet one that walked a fine line between divine purpose and spiritual rebellion. Within this tension, the mystery of Iran's destiny begins to unfold. Let us now descend into the prophetic layers, unearthing truths not only about Persia's past, but about what lies ahead for the world today. As we journey through the ancient corridors of time, a powerful convergence comes into view: the rise of Persia from the lineage of Japheth, son of Noah. Here, divine sovereignty meets earthly empires, and the story crescendos in the life of a king, unlike any other, Cyrus the Great. Named the Lord's Anointed in Isaiah 45:1, centuries before his birth, Cyrus steps onto the stage of history, not just as a conqueror, but as a vessel chosen by God. His decree to free the Jewish exiles from Babylon, as recorded in Ezra 1:1-4, was not a mere political strategy. It was the fulfillment of long-awaited prophecies spoken by Jeremiah and Isaiah, an act of divine orchestration echoing across generations. In this sacred moment, a pagan king becomes a shepherd of the covenant. Cyrus, unaware of the full extent of his role, fulfills a mission etched into eternity. Persia, under his reign, becomes a conduit of God's mercy, a nation used to rebuild the temple and restore a people who had nearly lost hope. And yet, Scripture casts a longer shadow. In the visions of Daniel and in the prophetic depth of Ezekiel, Persia does not fade quietly into history. It reappears on the prophetic horizon, not as a liberator, but as a future adversary aligned against God's people in the last days. This duality is not contradiction. It is revelation. It shows us that a nation, like a soul, can be both vessel and weapon, depending on the season of prophecy. Persia's past and future reveal a divine tension: mercy and judgment, calling and rebellion, restoration and conflict. It is a mirror held to the human heart and to the world today. As we close this chapter, let us carry the echo of Cyrus's decree. Even in exile, God is moving. Even through unlikely vessels, his promises unfold. And now, with our eyes fixed on the horizon, we continue forward toward the next layer of this prophetic mystery. In the book of Daniel, we glimpse a vision that splits time open, a divine unveiling of kingdoms rising and falling beneath the gaze of the Almighty. In Daniel 8, a prophetic encounter unfolds. A ram with 2 horns, symbolizing the Medo-Persian Empire, charges westward, northward, and southward, unstoppable in its conquest. But soon, from the west, a goat with a single prominent horn appears, swift as the wind. It strikes the ram with fury and shatters its power, heralding the sudden rise of Greece under Alexander the Great. This is not just history foretold. It is prophecy saturated with divine meaning. The vision of the ram and the goat transcends political timelines. It is a spiritual allegory, one that strips power of its illusions and reminds us of a greater truth: no empire stands forever. Persia, once used as a vessel of mercy through Cyrus, now becomes a symbol of the fleeting nature of worldly might. Its glory, like all human ambition, burns brightly and then fades into the ash of time. And yet, within this rise and fall, we see the fingerprint of God. Daniel's vision reveals that even the chaos of conquest is not outside divine orchestration. The empires of men move, fall, and are replaced, not by accident, but by the command of heaven. As Daniel 2:21 declares, he changes times and seasons. He deposes kings and raises up others. This is not just a comfort. It is a summons to see through the illusion of permanence. Persia's fate is not a footnote in history. It is a mirror held to every age. This prophetic tension calls us to discernment. It whispers a deeper reality: that the kingdoms of this world, no matter how great, are but shadows, temporary scaffolding in the construction of God's eternal kingdom. They rise with thunder, but only God's purposes endure. So now we stand with Daniel, not in fear, but in reverence. And as we prepare to take the next step in this unfolding mystery, let us carry forward this truth: God is not absent from history. He is the author of it. In the unfolding tapestry of divine intervention, we arrive at one of the Bible's most mysterious and majestic chapters, the story of Esther. Set within the vast Persian Empire, this is no ordinary tale. It is a prophetic revelation wrapped in royal robes and whispered prayers. At the center stands Esther, a young Jewish woman hidden in plain sight, elevated to queen not by chance but by divine design. Her rise to power is not simply personal, it is providential. Behind palace walls, the fate of her people hangs in the balance, and in the silence of that tension, the invisible hand of God moves. The book of Esther does not mention the name of God once, and yet his presence saturates every turn. As Haman's decree threatens the annihilation of the Jewish people, Esther's story ignites. She is summoned not by comfort, but by crisis. Mordecai's immortal words ring out. Who knows but that you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. It is here that Esther's true calling is revealed, not as a royal ornament, but as a vessel of deliverance. Her decision to step into the throne room, uninvited, is an act of prophetic bravery, a declaration that divine purpose is greater than personal safety. Within the echoing halls of the Persian palace, Esther becomes the voice of intercession. Her plea is simple yet seismic. It is a cry that reaches beyond politics into the realm of prophecy, and just as quickly as the tides of destruction rise, they are turned. The decree of death becomes a decree of life. Haman falls on the very gallows he built, and the people of God rise in triumph. This reversal is no accident. It is a divine pattern, a foreshadowing of the great reversals yet to come in the apocalyptic fulfillment of all things. Esther's story is more than a courageous moment in history. It is a spiritual template. It teaches us that God hides in the details, that silence is not absence, and that when darkness gathers, deliverance may be just one obedient voice away. As we step from this chapter into the next, may we carry Esther's fire with us. Her courage was not born in comfort. It was forged in crisis. So too are we called to stand, to speak, and to believe that even now, the hidden hand of God is writing the next verse of history. In the aftermath of Esther's triumph, the winds of prophecy carry us deeper into the east, to ancient Persia, where the stars whispered secrets only the wise could discern. There, we encounter the Magi, mysterious sages, royal advisors, and stargazers, whose journey would become one of the most iconic fulfillments of messianic prophecy. Their origin in the land of Persia is no coincidence. Persia, long steeped in wisdom traditions and prophetic expectation, becomes the unlikely cradle for a pilgrimage that would shake the heavens and the earth. Drawn not by maps, but by divine alignment, the Magi follow a star, a celestial herald that pierces the night sky, proclaiming the birth of a king unlike any other. Their journey to Bethlehem is not mere curiosity, but divine appointment. They carry not only gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but also the weight of generations seeking the promised light. Their footsteps echo with reverence, their eyes fixed on a prophecy that is now flesh and blood. In this sacred intersection, Micah's words are fulfilled. Out of you, Bethlehem, will come a ruler whose origins are from of old. And so, in the stillness of that holy night, Persia and prophecy meet once more. The Magi bow not before a throne, but before a manger. Their homage is not political, it is spiritual. The gold for his kingship, the frankincense for his divinity, and the myrrh, a prophetic shadow of the suffering yet to come. In their worship, they affirm what only heaven knew. The child they behold is not merely born, he is sent. This final thread in Persia's prophetic tapestry reveals something extraordinary, that even in obscurity, God orchestrates the cosmos to fulfill his covenant. From the decree of Cyrus to the footsteps of the Magi, Persia's role in biblical prophecy is not peripheral, it is essential. As we close this sacred journey, let us ask, are we watching the skies of our own lives? Are we discerning the signs, the stirrings, the whispers of divine invitation? The Magi remind us that those who seek with sincere hearts will always find the King, and when they do, they will never return the same way. Take a deep breath. Let the noise fade. In this quiet moment, you are free to be honest with God and with yourself. As you reflect on Persia's dual role, both liberator and adversary, consider your own life. Have there been moments when you were unexpectedly used in someone else's journey? Times when you brought light, yet also challenged others to grow? What did those experiences reveal about your calling? Life is rarely simple. Neither is purpose. Just like Esther, just like Cyrus, you may be called into places you never imagined, to play roles you never chose. And yet, within that tension lies transformation. Perhaps you're standing at the edge of something now, a decision, a risk, a relationship, a divine appointment waiting to be embraced. Can you trust that your life, with all its complexities, is part of a far greater narrative? The questions may not have answers today, but faith doesn't always demand clarity. It asks for courage. Can you sit with the unknown and still believe you're being led? Stay here for a moment. Let that truth settle deep. Your life, like Persia's place in prophecy, is filled with paradox and purpose. What will you choose to do with it? In the vast tapestry of biblical prophecy, Iran, once known as Persia, stands as a profound enigma, a land where light and shadow dance across the corridors of time. Under King Cyrus, Persia was a beacon of liberation, yet, within the same sacred texts, it is also cast in the looming shadows of the end times. How can one nation embody such divine contradiction? This paradox isn't accidental, it is intentional. It calls us to look deeper, to ask the sacred question: what does Persia reveal about God's unfolding plan, and why does it still matter today? As we gently unravel this mystery, we are invited to see prophecy not as distant history, but as a mirror, a reflection of God's sovereign hand at work, then, now, and still to come. So come with us. Let past and present converge in the light of revelation, where truth is not only found, but felt. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. This isn't just a video. It's a space for real conversation, and your voice matters. And if something in your spirit feels stirred, go ahead and hit subscribe. We're diving deep into biblical prophecy, spiritual truth, and what it all means for your life right now. There's so much more to uncover, and I'd be honored to have you on this journey with me. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and stay awake. The next revelation might be closer than you think.